Are you looking for professional broadcasting on a budget? How about broadcast with colorful commentary, guest commentators, and after-race interviews? Do your league branding and social media graphics need a facelift? Custom results and series graphics looking like a fifth grader did them? Event organization taking up way too much of your time? Engage GTCtv and let us help you show the world your events.
Welcome everyone to ENVY Simsports GT Sprint Series, the European Challenge, brought to you by GTCtv, also Triple Stint Racing, Coach Dave Academy, and SimGrid on board for a sunny filled day, no rain. There might be a little debacle about whether it was going to rain or not, so we will tell you. It's not going to, but then I'm still going to tell you it might. So we're going to go from there.
I mean, that view looks really cloudy. So
Yeah, you never know. Clouds could roll in right at the end of the race on like the last 2 laps or something. So, stay tuned to the very end to see what happens. GT3 lap record 144.593 by Alexandrio Pierguidi, who is probably one of the fastest Ferrari drivers I've ever seen. Of course, what they do it in, a 296 Ferrari GT3. Event was the 2024 3 Hours of Monza, so that's kind of a sprint race. So yeah, they're not holding back a whole lot in that race. I am your host, Fry, of course, joined by Mr. Pix, who always makes everything look good, sounds good, and Etan Benares, hopefully has gotten more sunnier conditions now, just like we have on track today.
hopefully.
Yeah, everybody's hoping for sunny conditions with nothing like rain or snow or anything on the ground. So I think everyone who wants that will get what they want today. Round 2 at Monza. Next round is at Magny Course. Course I have not seen, so I'm very interested to see that race. Also Zolder, never seen that track either. So probably tracks that most guys haven't seen or raced at, so the next couple rounds should be pretty interesting. And then we'll be at the Hockenheim, Zandvoort, the Hungaroring, and another track I haven't heard of is the Algarve International Circuit, and of course finishing up at Barcelona, otherwise known as Spain for those who call it Spain. Our points leader right now is Elder Nuhi. We had that discussion last week. Right now, he's had a pretty good first couple rounds in the pro class. Ricky Renner will be looking to run him down, and John McClellan in third. And of course, our Mustang twins following right behind them. So need those Mustangs to have a little better showing today, so they can get a little bit closer in that point gap. Only one round has gone by, but you want to get your points early, keep yourself in contention.
Yeah, and by the way, starting this race, Retro Coffin now will appear as Joan Rodriguez. So we still have him here as Retro Coffin, but it's going to be Joan Rodriguez in the Porsche number 398. And look at this, Fry. There's some rooster tails on those cars.
Yeah. Oh, that is funny. Javier Sierra leading us in the AM class. Chris Rice right behind him, and Terrell Lance in third. So again, just after one round, pretty close points battle. And that's why you want to have a good round 2 and hope that everyone who had a good round 1 you get in front of. The point gap can create quickly, and you can find yourself trying to come from behind. So everybody's hoping to have a great round here. and score as many points as they can. I think we did just see rooster tails on the car, so we'll find
Yeah.
out what the conditions are momentarily. Everybody, of course, chasing the cool trophy for the Pro Class and the AM Class, first, second, and third. And this time, I think the first time around, we only had one driver. This time, we have two lucky drivers that will receive a $15 iRacing gift card. So, you know, buy tracks, buy cars, stuff like that. And it is freaking raining. So it was supposed to be sunny and dry with partly cloudy conditions. And just like the weatherman always says, I don't know. Might tell you it's going to be sunny, but don't forget your umbrella when you leave the house.
Oh, look at those puddles.
And Chris Hitty is not going to join us today, unfortunately, recovering from shoulder surgery. So
Wow.
thoughts go out to Chris. Hopefully the wife's taking care of you. Got your little bell next to the couch in case you need anything. She can bring it for you. That time of need, we appreciate it when we don't have to move. From a guy who's had a back injury, it is no fun trying to get off the couch when it takes you 30 minutes. So definitely wet conditions. Not sure, honestly, if it's going to dry up, if it's going to stay wet. I have no idea. Probably not even going to take much of a shot here to guess. Rise right now, I think, is top of the AM class. AM class should be just about finishing. AMs will go out first. Pros come out second. Some of the pros will come out as the AMs are finishing up their lap. Might have a few of them on track at the same time, but plenty of gap. Everybody will have plenty of room. Nice looking Mustang from Mr. Sierra. And chased down by a Porsche slightly right behind him. Chris, I hope you have a whole basket of snacks. Maybe a couple Gatorades, a few adult beverages, within reach, and definitely the remote. You have to kind of confiscate that. It is not for others' viewing pleasures. Hey, if you're stuck on the couch and you can't move, yeah, that remote's yours. Not everybody has two TVs in their living room like I do, but I would highly recommend it. And then also a third screen so I can watch this cool race that was supposed to be sunny, but now has become a monsoon. Giant rooster tails coming off the back of the cars, so visibility is going to be a massive issue, which at this place can be detrimental. The slipstream is so strong. You've got 4 long straightaways, plenty of areas to gain tons of speed. So not being able to make that decision of, I can't see in the slipstream, but if I pull out, I get out of the slipstream, but you can see. That's what these drivers will have to be battling over the next hour. You can see it already starting to puddle on both sides of the track, so there's been a heavy rain coming through. But I don't see it raining currently, so maybe there's a chance. Nope, there it goes again. Big track, raining on one end, probably not the other. I think right about now, I think most of the AM class is starting to finish up. Should see some of the pros coming out. Yep, pros are out on track now. We'll see a few AM guys finishing up. Looks like Terrell Lance is going to edge out Sierra by about a second. Rise will be in third. John Cannon in fourth. We do have, looks like, some AM drivers that did not qualify or maybe got into a little bit of trouble in the last round. Fleming jumps up now to fourth. See if anybody else. I think there's one more guy on track to come around, but he might just be going to the pits. That's the thing, if you're finishing your lap, you got to get out of the way. A whole bunch of guys coming at you really fast. God, that is a monster rooster tail. Windshield wiper just a-going. One of our SRC liveries. Now, where is Chris? Now, Chris did not go out on track for his qualifier. Oh, see a couple people take in one of what we call the multiple escape roads on this corner. This first corner has one area you go, and you cannot go through the cones. They have those little cones and squares so that you have to go through there and slow down. The other one has speed bumps on it, which is not good to damage the race car or pretty much mess it up to where you can't drive it or anymore. You're just kind of hanging on. So turn one's going to be very interesting. Did see a race here not too long ago in the rain. Turn one was spectacular. Nobody made any mistakes. Everything was fine. Maybe the next couple corners, maybe the next couple laps, but oddly enough, everyone was so well behaved in turn one. They were making mistakes like that back in the background, going into the sand. This is probably the most detrimental corner for me. If you get on a wet curb, you are going to go to the inside really quick, or you're going to spin out. And we all know that the rain and the car, it always likes to end up backwards. Never faces the direction you want. I don't care what the sim is. It's like something they build in the game or the sim or something. But look how much he is fighting that steering wheel to get traction and get the car moving forward.
Yeah, here with Retro, we're gonna see if rain is stronger. Maybe we'll see a bunch of amps ahead of some pros. Look at the rain. I don't think he's gonna beat Terry Lance 208.
I think it comes down to, you know, pro or am. It comes down to if you can drive in the rain.
Yeah.
They you know, pardon the pun, maybe separates the men from the boys and all that stuff. But it's just if you can drive in the freaking rain.
See, he's Nathan Nickerson P4.
Whoa!
Joan Rodriguez P6. So Terry Lance and Javi Sierra. Well, there goes Ricky Renner. Forget it.
Yeah, Renner. Hey, right now Terrell Lance holding the top spot. And one advantage that right now the AMs might have over the pros is that I think it started raining hard right when they came out on the track. So even though, yes, the track was wet, it wasn't as wet as it is now. You're starting to see puddles, bigger rooster tails. These guys are struggling all the way down the straightaway. They're not going to be able to get up to that speed. I don't think Renner might be able to get another half second out of his car just because of the track. Now, let's see what happens right here as he goes into turn one. See if he can keep the car under control. That was pretty good. A beautiful looking Ferrari. Here comes a Mustang, a little bit heavier going into turn one. I would get off that, or that was a McLaren. I'll get off that white line. Get off the paint. That is not going to help with traction going into the heaviest braking zone probably on the track into turn one. And Chris, these are not red flag conditions. These are awesome. Everyone's not going to do anything bad conditions. I have faith. But fighting for control of the car and trying to race other drivers can be a little bit tasking. Terrell Lance still holding the overall top spot, and on the grid there is no separation. Pros and AMs will all be mixed together, so the overall standings that you see right now is how they will start on the grid. We're starting to see a few guys, all the pros are starting to kind of jump up there, but a little bit of a little Merry Christmas tree. Ricker getting a Ricky Renner gets him by 7/10. So we'll have to see if everybody's second and third lap either gets faster. Well, once they get used to the conditions. I myself am that kind of guy. Probably run my fastest one on my last qualifying lap. I can never just go out there on the first one and rip it. It's always, you know, overrun a corner, hit the brakes too hard. You know, you got to get a feel for the track and the conditions.
Eldar hasn't set any times yet, so he's got a powerful sector. Let's see.
Yeah, it looks like either a few guys are just waiting, coming out, maybe just doing the one lap or something, or they're just hanging out in the pits. But also could have had some incidences from last race, but I don't remember anything huge happening. I don't remember anybody really getting punted. I think most people just kind of had like an off track. So yeah, I don't remember a lot of penalties being put out. I think the only ones we saw were the track limit penalties, which they serve in game. So not really sure why some guys are just sitting it out. Probably just don't want to be up front in turn one, I guess. So, it's not really helping out the strategy because like 8 of y'all have that same strategy. So that's not the back of the field's going to be as busy as the front. That's probably one of the worst things that you can do. Sometimes you just have to go with the luck, but staying out of trouble can be just as dangerous as pushing too hard. And coming up on the finish, so everyone will be on their final laps of qualifying now. Got a few cars just coming through the chicane, getting ready to head down the long backstretch. See if anybody can take Renner off his top step. Rodriguez was really close, otherwise known as Blue. Tara Lance still holding strong in third, top AM driver. Got McClellan and Diltz just behind him. Sierra holding on to 6th. Patrick Rich in 7th. Like Watson, Smith, and Ball, all no time right now. I'm telling you, I think a lot of guys are going to sit back at the start. I don't think you're going to see a lot of people diving into turn one. It is definitely not the time or place to be brave. I think this is our final driver coming around. Who are we watching? So we have a unidentified driver. So we don't know if he's pro or am, but I guess we're going to find out. Judging by just qualifying time right now, I would have to say am. Haven't seen him quite jump up into the top 7.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the league decal, so that doesn't help us.
Oh, that's not going to help. And John's been pretty strict on making sure that people have decals, so might have to.
The
have
sun
a
is
check.
back. The sun is
Oh,
back.
look at that. The sun has come back out. And now, interesting, because I don't know this. Can you change the weather from qualifying completely different from the race?
Nope. No.
All right.
Because it should be continuous, so
Huh.
I don't
That
know.
is interesting
I
because
don't
I
know
mean
why.
that was pretty instant sun.
Yeah.
And I mean literally like the clouds left, the rain left, the track's dry again. I don't know what just happened. Oh,
Yeah, we're gonna need
craziness.
an explanation from
Yeah,
the ENVY Simsports weatherman.
yeah, that is I mean, I live in Hurricane Alley. I've never seen weather clear out even that fast. So Ricky Renner will lead us off. Jan Rodriguez in 2nd. Tara Lance in 3rd. John McClellan in 4th. Austin Diltz in 5th. Javi Sierra in 6th. Patrick Rich in 7th. Chris Rise in 8th. There you go. Nathan Nickerson in 9th. Joel Bandera in 10th. Jamie Fleming in 11th. John Cannon all the way up in 12th. Somebody likes the rain. Edgar Newhey in 7th or 13th. Daniel Salmon in 14th. So yeah, he might be kind of an AM driver. He's back there. Jack Clark in 15th. Michael Jeffries in 16th. Malik Bass in 17th. Steve Susanna in 18th. Jakub Firi in 19th, Morgan Smith in 20th, Jack Yates in 21st, Tyler Watson 22nd, Chris Ball 23rd, Aaron Siebers 24th. And I don't think anybody past about 12th or 13th qualified. I think everybody just kind of sat back. So it looks like we might still have a wet track. No, that's pretty dry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need an explanation
Yeah.
on full rain conditions, and now there is not a drop on the track.
Same. This is not normal.
So, is everyone still on wet tires, or did they switch over to the dry tires?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4 drivers on wets.
Okay, now the track is still a little wet. I see a little rooster tail coming off the back of the cars. Okay, so the track is still a little wet. But I am going to need to know if that is normal weather in Monza. I mean, I live in a place where it will rain for 5 minutes, drop 8 inches of water, and then be 110 degrees for the rest of the day with the sun poking out. But that was just some pretty instant weather. So doing their little warm-up. Now they're only going to get a half warm-up lap, so not a lot of, I guess, time to feel out the new conditions of the track. That can definitely play little odds and trickiness on you as you now have to learn a new track after driving another one. But turn 1 will be interesting to say the least. Monza, turn 1, chicane, always has a reputation. Let's hope today it doesn't live up to it. Everyone's gridded up, waiting on the lights. Nobody getting a jump yet. Wow, again, late on the light. I didn't even see the lights come out.
Yeah,
Not yet. They are still. There you go. Green, green, green. We'll see how bad this rooster tail is so far. Not too bad. That's pretty good visibility for most of the drivers in the back. We'll see if anybody gets a little brave here. Rodriguez and Renner, see if they can work it out going into turn 1. Such a tough track because most of the time you're going to have to sort of be single file. Somebody waited way in the back. They made sure they were nowhere near anybody. A little bit of contact. Somebody lost the front bumper. Don't see any cars off. Everybody's still moving good. Ricky Renner ahead of Rodriguez. Terrell Lance holding on to 3rd. John McClellan in 4th. Sierra in 5th. Nickerson in 6th. Diltz your top 7. Only 2 AM drivers in the top 10 right now. They'll see if they can plan to stay there all day. Looks like Renner's going to establish the lead. Everybody follow him. Everybody's still getting through pretty clean. This is a track where you do not want to go side by side anywhere but a straightaway going into a turn. There is not one turn on this track you can make side by side without losing just a ton of time. I almost said another word there, but we're not gonna. So Renner coming around. Rodriguez still behind him. McClellan in 3rd. Oh, and you know, if they still have that much water coming off the tires, and probably dry enough, even though we see the water still dry enough for slick tires. But if you get on the curb with the slick tires, no grip whatsoever.
Way in the back.
Something happened with Siebers.
And Joel Bandera is in the pits.
So we might have had a little get-together right there somewhere on the backside of the track. He did have a bumper on his car, so that might have been the other guy's bumper. So right now the Porsche is looking strong, running 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think the Porsche just might have became the new favorite car over the McLaren from last season. The McLaren seemed to be the favorite on the American tracks. Looks like the Porsche is trying to be the dominant one on the European circuits. We'll see what next season brings, what kind of tracks he brings out. Maybe a new car will emerge, like the Mustang. So yeah, very Porsche heavy. Top 5 all in Porsche, Sierra in an Acura. Diltz is running the McLaren, which why is Diltz in a McLaren? All right, we gotta stop the broadcast here. Why is Diltz in a McLaren? This is ridiculousness. He is a traitor. I'm gonna have to get his teammate out here. Where's his teammate running? Might need to have a discussion on the backstretch, maybe in the pits. No, I don't think he's here today. That is tragedy right there, my friends. You know, if somehow Dilts finishes on the podium, we're not going to talk to him because he's driving McLaren. We're just going to say congratulations, thanks for joining, and then, yeah, go change your car. Right now, Patrick Rich is our highest running Mustang. Watson in the McLaren behind him, Fury in an Audi. John Cannon also in a Porsche with a whole bunch of people around him running everywhere. Oh, they are getting... Oh, there's somebody missing a bumper. I think that's Fury. So we did find somebody missing a bumper. That's probably going to hurt the aero. So if we're not going to see any more rain, which we don't know if we won't or will, I think the track... Yeah, the track should dry out. If the conditions stay this way, the track should dry out. Especially with them running all over it like that. Going almost 3 wide into turn 1. Just don't do it. Everybody careful. See, the first lap, I think everybody's on their P's and Q's. Everybody's making sure they don't make a mistake, get through the turn, you know, get the race underway. It's the second and third lap where they start to get that pace and they go, all right, move. Start getting a little brave, a little confident, you know, trying to make their way to the front. So far, great start from everyone. See, Chris, I told you, no red flag conditions. See, I told you they were going to make it. Now, we didn't know the sun was going to come up, but I said it and I'm sticking by it. Chris Ball is one of our other Mustang drivers, also from the booth, straight to the track. He did pretty good in his first outing. So we'll see if he can handle these wet conditions in his second outing. And I see I guess the moisture's at like 66%. But I wonder, you know, if you had like a meter in your car to tell you how much traction you were getting off the tires, I wonder what it would say. Is it like right on the cusp of like you need wet tires, but you know you'll run slower if you come in and get them? Or is it just wet enough or dry enough that you can run the slick tires with no problem? Just stay off the curbs. So who are our drivers on wet tires right now? Oh, looking at Chris. We told Chris that he needs a loudspeaker, so every time we show him on camera, he'll know it's me over there. Going, hey, Chris, wave at the camera. Chris, wave at the camera. All right, wave right now. See, you can never hear me. That's some heavy concentration going into turn 1 right there. Like 3 or 4 people around you. And I think we only have 3 Mustangs in the field. It's either 2 or 3.
It's 3. Aaron Stevens is the...
Okay, we do have 3. Right now, just Porsche heavy up front. Not much change going on up front. Everybody's kind of settling in. Jeffrey's running a BMW. He might be the sole BMW. I didn't see too many of those. I know we got a couple Audis. Definitely everybody liking the Porsche right now. Chris Rise currently in 7th, running 3rd in class. Oh, Ricky Renner is already lapping cars?
No, he fell down to 8th spot. Something must have happened.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait, how did Renner just get in 8th place? We'll have to see what happened to Renner, because he definitely has dropped from the lead all the way to 8th place. Rodriguez now up top. That must have just happened, because I just looked at the board and we had 5 Porsches up there. We only have 4 now. So everyone in the top 7 just gained a spot. Let's see what happened to Ricky. Oh, the wet curb. That is so weird. It's like one side slipped, but the other side got total traction and just sent him into the wall. So he might have a little minor damage. Now he's definitely got some minor damage. Putting a little muddy rocks all over. So Rodriguez, your new leader. Renner might have some damage on his car. That might slow him down. A little battle right here going into turn 5. Oh, that's close getting in behind him. You gotta be so careful when you're that close. Why he's defending inside. That's gonna slow you down for this one right here. Yep. I mean, I don't know how far you can get in there before he's actually hitting him and pushing him, but he's getting way too defensive in these corners. But there's just nowhere to go underneath him. It's so hard to get side by side through there. You've got to be able to get underneath coming off. You don't want to lose any of that momentum and stay off of that curve, especially with it being so wet. Morgan Smith in his Audi this season. Yeah, still battling Watson. Gonna try it. Wow, nice move on the outside, back to the inside. Nice use of the curbs, keeping the traction down. John's right behind them, about to make a move. Nope. Yep. Coming down on Jeffries. John's gonna look to get underneath Jeffries, going into the corner. Long way around that corner. Sometimes the inside's not the fastest way. Outside, you can pull so much momentum coming around that corner. Entering the first 10 minutes of the race, a little chaotic. This little group that we're watching here is, so far, I don't think they can figure out who wants to lead the pack and who wants to try to drive away. I was going to say that, you know, bumper missing on Watson's car might have been kind of affecting his aero, but he seems to be doing just fine without it, even without anybody in front of him. Gonna take a look again. Not the best place to make a move. Trying to stick it on the outside, just battling. See who's on our wet tires. So Patrick Rich is on the wet tires, being run down by just a bee's nest of everyone trying to lead this pack. And although he's kind of holding his own against this little group, but I'm pretty sure he's losing time to the car in front of him. So I think the dry tire was the tire to pick. But I think as long as you run, and I don't know if they did anything with the fuel, I think we're still running the same fuel as last race. If they can make it to the 15, 16 minute mark, they can come in and I think top off the car and make it to the end. So we might see I think we said 5 guys are on wet tires. We might see them all come into the pits to get off those wet tires, get the dry ones on. If they can do that, they'll actually have a little bit. Oh, so John is straight in. He wants off the wets immediately.
He was on dries. Yeah.
Oh, he was on dry.
Yeah.
Oh, he might. Maybe a strategy move?
Slightly damaged, yeah.
Let's see. Let's stay with John, see if he goes up. Yep. I think he's getting damage fixed. I think either that game was flickering or his front end just got repaired.
Yeah, he got the fast repair.
So I wonder if he just repaired or took some fuel. Definitely didn't change tires.
No, he's changing tires.
Nope. One behind him as well, which I think is Clark, and Fury's right there in the background.
Yeah, he was on wets,
right?
now on dries.
So we're starting to see. I was a little off, maybe a little premature, but these guys have all come in. Not sure if they can make it to the end or if they're going to have to do a second stop. We've seen most of the races are one stop. So if they have to make a second stop, that is just absolutely going to kill the race.
Yeah, I think their calculations must tell them that this is only a one-stopper if they stop now. So
Yeah. So I mean, like we said, we've heard guys say you just run the first 15 minutes. From there, you can make it. We're right at 13 minutes, so I don't know if that 2 minutes is, that's pretty much a lap around here. So I don't know if that's going to make a huge difference. Maybe a little more fuel saving that they have to do might take out their pace. But, for John, he can get out of that bee's nest and get a little more open track. So now all these guys will stay in this battle. They're going to lose time the more that as we saw, they were just battling. Nobody's willing to ride behind anybody. They kind of want to be out here and gain time and, I guess lead the pack. We haven't seen anybody go out front and pull away yet. So getting out of here, John's going to possibly gain some time over these guys. Sierra still holding strong in fourth. I think something happened to Terrell Lance because he has dropped down to 6th now. So Sierra is our top AM driver. Here's Michael Jeffries. Either that or he just had an off track and took him a minute to get back up to speeds. See what happens with Terrell Lance. Uh-oh. Turn 1. Might be claiming its first victim here. Let's see if he uses the escape. Oh, yeah, he is way late on the brakes. Look at that! And he doesn't hit him. Now, does he gonna follow the penalties or does he blow through? Because that's where you will pick up a massive penalty. Yep, he's gonna go ahead and do it. This is the proper way to do it. If you don't go through those cones, you will receive a massive penalty. See how close this was.
They are both so lucky Netcode didn't take part there.
Yeah, talk about when netcode doesn't happen.
Yeah, yeah.
That was awesome. Well, let's check out our leader, see what's going on up front with Rodriguez. Nickerson has now taken a spot away from McClellan. So Rodriguez out front, he's got a little bit of a gap over Nickerson and McClellan. Nickerson just took the spot from McClellan. Sierra's going to inherit a spot. Something happened with Terrell Lance. He's dropped a few spots. Austin will also move up. And I think Rise has closed in a little bit more on Mr. Lance. So the track is beginning to show its true colors. Kind of what we expect from it, but always, turn 1, lap 1 always seems to just get through. Everybody gets so nervous about it, but I've done this so many times, watched it so many times, and driven it that I'm just used to everything being fine. Now, if you're doing like a daily race with random people, hey, that's just that kind of race. This kind of racing, yeah, we don't have that problem. So Fleming under attack. Oh, that's Patrick Rich under attack from Fleming. Is that Susanna right behind him or Bass? That's Bass.
Yeah, Susanna.
See if we'll get the pass done here. Patrick Rich still running the wet tires. I think everyone who was on the wet tires has gone ahead and switched them out. So he is the only driver left on the wet tires. At this point, I think he has to kind of force his own strategy. He's got to come in the pits and get off those tires. He's definitely going to have open track if he does. But a lot of the guys now, as I'm looking at the map, they are all over the track. So there is not a lot of gap anywhere. So, yeah, he's got his work cut out for him. Sierra's still holding his own with the pro drivers. As an AM guy, if you're one of the slower guys and you can run with the big boys, as they say, it definitely gives you a confidence boost. And also, if you start beating them, they just move you into pro class. So that kind of works out for you. So Rodriguez has got the gap. He's out by about 5 seconds. McClellan still right behind Nickerson, starting to kind of pull out. Nickerson pulling out a little bit. Sierra holding his own right behind McClellan. Still the Porsches out front. I think, where is he? Rise has fallen back a little bit. He's in the pink Porsche right there in the background. Still weird, Lance isn't driving his BMW. And Nickerson has moved up pretty good so far. Now, I'm trying to find the biggest mover. I don't think they get points for it, but I always like to see who can come from the back. And as we said, I think we had like 10 guys or something that didn't even qualify. They all just kind of sat back. Don't think they had any reasons to do so. Right now, Watson and Ball are our top movers. Not a lot of movement up front. Nickerson has probably gained the most spots from the top 10. Morgan Smith as well has also gained 12 spots. So that's at least 3 guys that didn't qualify, started in the back, and have started to make their way up toward the front. Not much trouble in the race so far. Haven't seen a lot of people going off the track or really having, any bad wrecks with multiple cars. So just all out. So Renner, we missed when he came into the pits. He's down 16 spots, but he will definitely have enough to make it to the end. He's got open track. Trying to find out where he is on track. He has got open track in front of him. So he might be able to gain a lot of time doing the early pit stop. We don't see it much. Most of the strategy we see is pitting around a 30-minute mark, possibly into the 40, 45 minutes, something like that. We'll have to keep an eye on everybody to see when the strategies start opening up. Had 5 drivers on wet tires. All but Patrick Rich has come in to change off of those tires and get the slick tires on. Track is still a little bit wet, but probably just so much in favor of the slick tire. Curbs are probably your worst enemy when it comes to traction, but if you can keep it on track, you're going to move up definitely in front of anybody on wet tires at this point. I think the track is starting to dry out. We might actually see a dry track at the end of this thing. I'm noticing the rooster tails are going away. They're not as big as they were. You can see right there, it's only on the right side tire. I'm not even seeing it on the other tire. So the track should start to dry out, getting a little late sunshine. See it right there, only on one side of the car. That's a sure sign of a dry line starting to form on the inside. So, we're going to have to tell Rodriguez that he did good by changing his name. Because apparently it was good luck.
Yeah. Maybe that's what he needed to be on top.
That's all you needed. The coffin name was just holding you back.
Yep.
You had to be a full Rodriguez. Be true to thyself. Rodriguez out front. I think he's probably up by about 6 seconds at this point. Oh no. We got a crisp ball highlight. Wow.
More like a low light, but
I was waiting on that. My heart in the stomach, stomach and the heart were switching places. I was waiting on it. I thought that was going to be really bad. We should have gone full crisp view on that one. And before I forget, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, come race with us. We're missing quite a few drivers in the race, so don't know where those drivers are, but they should have been here. This is fun stuff. And it was only like raining and qualifying, and then miraculously somehow the sun just pops out and the track's a little damp. I've never seen that kind of weather change before, so I don't know if that's a setting or if the sim decided, hey, that's what's happening. I'm sure the drivers were pretty happy about it.
yes.
We might not get to find out, but we did have 5 drivers start the race on the wet tire. Don't know if they forgot to switch it, didn't switch it, or decided, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and run the wet tire until my first stop, maybe pit early, something like that. Definitely nobody in the top 10 started on the wet tire. Sierra, our first top runner that's coming into the pits. I'm pretty sure he won't take tires. I don't think anybody's really going to take tires in the race. I'll have to find out real quick. I think this might be kind of a fuel. Yep, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a fuel-only race. Probably see a lot of tire changes from maybe people that had damage or they were just on the wet tire. Currently, right now, Watson and Ball up 13 spots. Morgan Smith up 13 spots. Big movers from the back. Jeffries is up 8. Nickerson is our biggest mover within the top 10. Most everybody has only moved up one or down, up or down on a couple spots. We'll see if Nickerson has made any time on our overall leader. Because right now we have our top 4 is pros, 5th and 6th, both AM drivers. A couple more pros, and then a whole string of AM drivers right behind that. Field's starting to get mixed up with everybody. I guess this is an early pit stop race. Other than, you know, the tires that people have changed off of, I haven't seen this many people come in the pits this early. I'm a little shocked at how early a few of them came in. Like I was saying, most of our drivers come in with about, you know, 30, 40 minutes, you know, somewhere in that area. We're seeing guys coming in from the 12-minute mark all the way up now to the 24. Starting to get into, you know, the prime time stopping. And that is so weird how only one side of the car. Okay, now both sides. Yeah, I'm starting to see just less of a trail of water behind these cars. I think the track is really beginning to dry out. You know, even though they're in cockpit mode, I mean, it's still just judging that distance that you're that far away or close behind the car in front of you. All the way down to first gear. And I'm not the biggest expert on the first chicane, turn 1, but there is no way to come out of that, you know, coming out of like turn 2, technically, and not hit the curb. There's just no way. So that's one place that I'm impressed that we haven't seen a lot of people spin off, have too many accidents right there. Probably one of the sunnier parts of the track right here. That's why that curb's not really affected by it too bad, but turn 1's a little bit in the shade. We'll say the sim does a very good job of kind of making that part as realistic as possible on how things can be wet to dry, traction being placed down, things like that. And, you know, so right now, the back straight, a couple laps ago, we were seeing tails behind all the cars. Right now, I'm not seeing a whole lot on that dry back straightaway as soon as they come underneath the sign. So now we're going to start to see the lap times get faster and faster and faster. And we didn't see a lot of tire changes. I wonder if there's going to be any benefit to that. With the track getting dry now. See if it makes a time difference on the people who stopped earlier, if they can make up any spots. What has happened with Mr. Newhey? We saw this guy dominating last week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, absolutely running away from the field. He is not on the positive gain spots. I don't think he's stopped yet either.
Once, yeah.
Oh, so he has. Okay, so that's why he's at least dropped a few spots as he did stop. So Renner has also stopped right in front of him. Patrick Rich. Did he stop yet, or is he still on the wets?
Yeah, still on the wets.
He is still on the wets. Not even a rooster tail of any sort coming out from behind that car. Boy, get off those tires. We're driving a tank around, just hopping and skipping through some corners right now. Go get some real tires on that car. I think we said that like 10 minutes ago. All right, we got a few drivers. We're gonna have to have a meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially Dilts. Dilts is up first on the where we need to have a talk. You're gonna have to call his teammate because I'm pretty sure that this was not team approved, and if it was, we got questions. It needs some answering. Apparently, there's no track limit on that white line over there. Probably the most water I've seen on the track right now is on the front stretch going into turn 1. You can still see it is a little damp right there. A little bit of shade from that tree hanging over to make that big of a difference. That is pretty real life. Lance still up front in the AM class, Rise right behind him. Chris Ball has come into the pits to make his first stop, stopping halfway. So Watson's going to get a little relief from him. Everyone, I want to say spread out, but we've got some groups on the track pretty close together. Leader's not pulling too far away. 8 seconds out, so he's doubled it since the last time. So Rodriguez right now is absolutely tearing this place apart. I think we found his favorite track, at least so far on the schedule. Can't root him out of that Porsche for as much as I've been trying, but he seems to like the car, and I don't think his success today is going to help my argument to get him out of that car. I think if I had my way, we'd all be driving Mustangs, and we'll turn it into a Mustang challenge.
Yeah, maybe we need to do a Mustang challenge next.
I'll just keep hounding the drivers. It's more fun this way. So Rodriguez out front with a commanding lead. Nickerson in second. McClellan not too far behind him. Dilt's right on the backside of McClellan. So got our top 4 pro drivers. Only one of which not in a Porsche. He is in the lone McLaren that's out front right now. Jeffrey's in a BMW, and I think, Morgan Smith went to the Audi. Is that a Lambo behind him? Behind Jeffries? Who was that? It is a Lambo. Jack Yates in a Lambo. Okay, so Jack Yates and Daniel Salmon both driving a Lambo.
Yep.
I am surprised. We haven't seen a lot of people taking the Lambo. We've seen a lot of people exit from the Lambo. The McLaren seemed to be a better car as far as body style goes. Porsche definitely seems to be the favorite so far. As we said last season in the American tracks, the McLaren seemed to be the dominant car. Interesting how sims work sometimes. They're all meant to be equal cars, but somehow one is faster here, one is slower there. I don't know. Yeah, hopefully, Chris, that'll be the next one. We can do, like, all-American cars. I mean, I don't know if there's Dodge in there, but I wouldn't mind seeing, like, some Dodges or something in there. Not a lot of car choices when it comes to the American brands. Wish we had a few more. But I wouldn't mind seeing a Corvette Mustang series. Hint, hint.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to, make sure John gets the memo. Yeah, Rodriguez is still pulling that gap. For the second half of the race, I should call him by his other name that he changed from. We'll see if that makes a difference in the race. We'll say. Lance in the pits, Nickerson in the pits, Rise in the pits. All making their pit stop. Yeah, right about halfway. And, the thing we don't know is, are they having to run a full tank of fuel? In other words, come in, fill it up, and make sure they make it to the end? Or are they doing more of like a half fill, 3/4 fill, something like that to play a little with the strategy? Also, fuel saving, things like that come into play. Ooh, that's going to be close. I think that was Lance coming out in front of Susanna. Is that Lance in front of Susanna? Yep. So Rise and Lance right there in front of Susanna. Nickerson probably, yeah, he's a little ways up from them. He came in a good gap. And Susanna has pit, correct?
No, not yet.
Oh, not yet. So Susanna gaining some ground for now. But once he makes a stop, he might get passed by Cannon. I don't think Bass has come in yet either.
No, not yet.
Yeah, a lot of people to still stop. Our pole sitter and guy who was pretty fast, looked like him and it was going to come down to him and Rodriguez. I think those two were pretty neck and neck. But Renner has fallen way back. So we're going to have to see how this all shakes out when everybody comes in. Dilts and Watson now making their stop. Within about the next 10 minutes, I expect everyone to come in, make their final stop, probably a good 15-20 minute run to the end. But Renner, all the way back in 15th, has already made his stop. A lot of people up front have already made their stop, and he did not catch back up and pass them. So I wonder if Renner has had a few more excursions or incidences.
No, not that I can tell.
So I wonder what happened to Ricky. I mean, if he was that fast, I really would expect him to come back up through the field. See, Rodriguez and McClellan still yet to stop. Jeffries has stopped. Morgan Smith has not. Alston, Dilts, Nickerson, Lance, Sierra all have stopped. Bass has not. And pretty much everyone behind that has stopped. So, one-stop race. Not sure how some of these strategies are going to play out. And some drivers seem to have a little more pace in the beginning of the race than they do in the dry conditions, which is baffling. Because they've still been on the same tire. I would expect the drivers who got off the wet tires to be a little bit faster.
And Patrick Rich is on dry tires now.
It's about freaking time. 30 minutes of running wet tires on a dry track. I mean, I know I make jokes about how they're aerodynamic, but they're just jokes. It's not meant to be taken seriously. Lance still running.
And this is a battle for the podium. These 4 cars. It's a battle for the podium. This is
podium.
P1, 2, 3, and 4 in AM.
Yep. Lance, Rise, and Sierra. They've been pretty close together pretty much the whole race. I know it's like they're racing for their class, but they're all right there together. It's not like they're spread out.
Yep.
So a little pit stop strategy, I think, has brought them together. Separated out our top 6, which is all pros now. Dilts has jumped ahead of Nickerson. Morgan Smith right now will hang on to 4th because he has not made a stop. Now I think once he stops, Dilts, Nickerson, Lance will jump back in front of Morgan Smith. But he's had a pretty good race so far. Coming up on the 40-minute mark to see who is... Oh, Rodriguez is in. See if McClellan stays out. Yep, McClellan stays out. He's probably going to pit in the next couple of laps. What's tough about the leader, especially being in the car, is most of them don't have this little map up here that I'm looking at, which tells me where everyone is. And if you have that kind of data, and I know there's other little programs out there you can have that show it to you, you're going to try to time when you come in the pits how long you're going to be there, and if you're going to come out in clean, open track. Trying to figure all that out while you're driving can be very tiresome and complicated. But Morgan Smith is in the pits now, so we'll see how far he drops. Moved up 14 spots. We'll see what the damage is after the pit stop.
Yeah, and Michael Jeffries, it shows that he has stopped once, but he stopped on lap 1. So I think he's going to have to stop again.
I wonder if he stopped on lap 1 for damage?
Maybe, yeah.
Possibly. So Jeffries will, we're assuming, have to make another stop. I'm pretty sure you can't stop on lap 1 and fill it up and run to the end. I've been wrong so many times on the sim that I'm not going to put it past him. So let's just roll the dice and see what happens on that call. I mean, drive of the race, if he literally stopped on lap 1 and he can complete the next 22 minutes and make it to the end, that's epic and eye-opening strategy. I don't think he can do it, but we'll definitely have to
McLaren
keep an
is
eye
in.
on him and see what happened. Yep, McLaren only does one more lap. And
Oh yeah, there goes Jeffries.
All right, so Jeffries will make his second stop. Here comes Rodriguez to retake the lead, and probably about a 12-second gap, I'm assuming. About what he had before. McLaren and Jeffries should come out pretty close to each other.
Tyler Watson linking big time.
And here comes Elder Nuhi, who we absolutely saw run away from the field last week. Now, I wonder if he's sandbagging. I got, is he trying to make it back down to the AM class and, make last week look like a fluke? We'll find out. Maybe he's being a little coy. Yeah, don't go too wide. Oh. Sierra with the good car control. Still got 20 minutes, a little patience. Got to make that move count. You do not want to lose too much time trying to make the pass. I think that was Morgan Smith. Yeah, that's Morgan Smith right behind them. So they keep fooling around like that, Morgan Smith's going to start moving himself up. They've already lost a little time. Terrell Lance has now jumped back ahead of Jeffries, who made his second stop. Impressed that Jeffries made the second stop and is still running in the top 6. Nickerson still running down Diltz in, for whatever reason, running in a McLaren. We're going to have a talk about this.
Yeah, maybe just betraying you.
That's what I'm saying, once you go forward, you can't go nothing else. It's just them the rules. That's how it would be. But I hope he gets out in the car and, right now he's on the podium, so we will get to ask him why. Kind of want Nathan to pass him at this point. We'll see what happens. We'll definitely have to have a little chitty chat on this decision making here. But I have noticed we've only got 3 Mustangs. So there might be this little issue with, a car that's made to have horsepower that's not as fast down a straightaway that it should be. Run into that a lot during the sims where you think it should be one thing, but it just doesn't. McLaren has actually just gained a little bit of time on Rodriguez. Not sure if he had a little off. He just dropped about 2.5 seconds. He might have just had like a moment, let off the gas or something like that. That's the thing about this track, is if you have a mistake in a particular spot, it's a lot of straightaways. There's a lot of time where you're just burying your foot in the throttle and racing down a straightaway. So if you have like one little bump in a corner, the cars behind you will just eat up that time. It doesn't take a whole lot. This place is very heavy on momentum for your track times. This is always a corner I mostly get right some of the time. Chris has dropped back to 14th. Renner's up to 13th. Cannon's still in 12th. And Newhey has now moved to 11th. So a little bit of change in our top 10. Wow, Rise is sending it in there. I don't know if that's going to work out. Wow, he just sent that in there. I think that's a lap car they're going around. Yeah, that's a lap car. I think that's our guy that had trouble right at the start of the race. And one of our Mustangs that unfortunately I don't think got off to a very good start. I think he's already made 2 stops. Whoa! I mean, I will say legal block. He only made 1 move.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, that is, even as the blocker, that's treacherous. I mean,
Yes.
you hitting the brakes that hard and cocking the car sideways, that's probably not going to work out very well. And now getting into the last 15 minutes on what I say is a perfectly dry track. I don't really see any moisture on the track anymore. So we're going to see a really fast race toward the end. Sun's still peering out. This is probably the driest part of the track. I think the front stretch was just a little bit more moist or moistened. You see they're going to start getting a little heavier on the curbs. They're going to start popping corners a little more, getting a little braver going out toward the sand. You talk about a recipe for disaster. Wow, Rodriguez is starting to lose his lead. He is down to, McLaren has worked it down to 6.2 seconds. So not sure why Rodriguez is starting to go a little slower. Maybe he didn't take as much fuel as he thought he needed to. I don't think he really took tires. I don't think that's much of a difference. It might be because I called him Mr. Coffin. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
You know? I don't know. Retro, do you have me on a speaker? You can hear me while I'm talking. I wouldn't recommend that while you're racing. Squirrel! But, we'll see. All right, Jan Rodriguez out front. McLaren is starting to gain time on him. He seems to like the dry conditions a lot more than Rodriguez likes the wet conditions. Diltz is still right there behind him. Nickerson's still chasing him down. And I think, yeah, that's lap traffic right there. They're starting to work around in the Lambo. So lap traffic becoming a part of the race, a little bit in play. And tough for these guys sometimes to know who's behind them. It's not that they're trying to race you or kind of hold you up. They just, you know, they don't know who you are. So that can be cumbersome and time consuming. And I'm just watching this gap right now. McLaren is absolutely running down Rodriguez like they're on 2 different sets of tires right now. Rodriguez is flashing and doing something right now. I don't know why he's doing that.
Well, we have checker flag, but we had 15 minutes to go, and then suddenly we got the checker flag.
Yeah, that was just okay, so I guess the race just ended. I hope it really just ended, because that was nuts. I was like, why is he swerving and giving up all this time all of a sudden? So maybe was our timing off, or was that the sim? Because we've seen an issue with the weather. We've seen an issue with the timing. So there you go, folks. I am so confused right now. Yeah, I am more confused than a firefly looking at a sky full of stars. That is okay. Yeah. So Rodriguez, yeah, Rodriguez is going to be our winner. McClellan will come home in second. Austin Diltz in third. Nathan Nickerson in fourth. Terrell Lance, our top AM driver, with a top 5 run. Jeffries in sixth. Javi Sierra in seventh. Chris Rise in eighth. That is your podium for the AM class. Elder Anuhi works his way up into ninth. A really good run from starting in the back. Watson in 10th, John Cannon in 11th, Chris Ball with a good run in 12th. See, after 2 rounds, might get a top 10 in the third one. He's been moving up each round. Morgan Smith in 13th, Malik Bass in 14th. We'll get to some other drivers if we can. Not sure what happened with the sim, with the weather. There it is, Ricky Renner in 15th. Clark in 16th, Susanna in 17th, Fury in 18th, Fleming 19th, Yates in 20th, and Daniel Salmon in 21st. And I think a few scragglers at the end. Hopefully everybody finished, because that was just a very strange race. that was interesting. Yeah, we had to have something with the timing on there.
Okay, Pro-Am winner Chris Ball is here.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Chris, you did better. I mean, you did good. You got 12th.
I ran out of gas coming out of Parabolica, but I was going just enough faster. I beat the other car that ran out of gas by about 2 car lengths. Got one more position. Oh my gosh.
All right, Mr. Terrell Lance.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on your AM victory.
Thank you.
No worries. Kind of a weird end to the race. We'll start with you on that. Our timer said we still had like almost 15 minutes to go, and then all of a sudden we were done. So, how did your overall race go? Because you were pretty much battling up front for the entirety of the race.
Yeah, first I was pretty shocked and sitting so high up on the grid for the start. That kind of threw me for a loop. But I did make that one mistake going into T1 where I overshot it and almost ran into John. Luckily, I was able to squeeze by him, but I was still able to stay in the fight there at the end, and somehow I was able to beat Chris and Javi, who are very fast guys in their own rights.
I mean, I was going to say, man, you were holding your own with the pro drivers for at least a good first half of the race. And then a kind of a 3-way battle between you and Rise. I forget the other guy. You guys were just all racing.
Yeah.
So it looked like pretty much you were busy for most of the race.
Yeah, I mean, I would say once the track started to dry and the leader started to really pull out ahead of me, I was on my own for a little bit, so I was able to kind of put down some laps and just kind of keep consistent and stay there until, at the end where it really mattered.
Yeah, we saw a lot of strategy actually early this time. I don't think I've seen that many drivers pit early. I don't think you were one of them. I think you waited till at least halfway.
Yeah.
But I think that's why we saw people pitting early. They were trying to find somewhere on the track to find some open track. But by about the 25-minute mark, there wasn't much.
No,
So
it was
it's
pretty
kind of hard to
busy.
see. Yeah. Well, man, congrats on the win. And
Thank
you
you.
got any shout outs and stuff and thank yous and stuff you want to send out?
Yeah, to you guys for sticking with us for another season and putting on another great commentary. Huh?
Oh, oh. Yeah, how about this right here? On screen right now, we're watching you almost just punt McClellan into next year. And then somehow, by the grace of like a sheet of paper, you didn't touch his back wheel.
Yeah. That was a mistake I was talking about where I almost took him out, but luckily everything kind of lined up, in the universe just right. I think the eclipse.
That's so close.
Yeah,
The
we
eclipse
we
this morning kind of threw off the gravity for everything and allowed me to kind of slip through. And
we
yeah, I
made
was
the
able.
comment when netcode doesn't happen.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
very glad I
Um,
didn't ruin both of our races. I was
yeah,
very pleased
I
with that.
saw you coming down. We were just happened to be watching it live, and I'm like, oh, he's going kind of fast. He's going
Yeah,
break, 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 and then I'm like, uh-oh, he's about to just almost take him out.
yeah, I looked away at the wrong time.
Yeah, we either look away, you look down, you're like, it'll just be 1 second, and somehow it's like eternity, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was the exact wrong time. I looked away for just a split second.
Well,
But
hopefully you'll get some new underpants for next race, and you'll be ready to go.
absolutely.
All
Well,
right, man.
thanks, guys.
No worries. We'll see you next time.
Yep, have a good one.
All right, Mr. Austin Dilts, you are on deck.
What's up, brother?
And before we even get into your race, my first
Yeah, here it
Car of
question is
choice.
why, why are you driving that damn car?
Ah, man, I drove the Ford since she came out, and I wanted to try something else. I'm doing a lot of GTP driving and then a couple of other leagues, so GT3 is kind of taking a back seat. I'm just kind of doing this stuff for fun, not really
Yeah.
taking it competitively.
Well, it's more of, we got to talk about, the traitorism. And if this was team sanctioned by Parker, I'm really, really gonna have a sit down with Mr. Parker Dime and get you straightened out.
No, I think I was in the Ford the first race, and now I'm in the Mach. Like, I don't even think that I'm doing this for points. I think I have
Oh
0
yeah.
points at this point. So
Oh yeah. Oh, trust me, I knew. And we went around. I started going through the field, and we got a bunch of Porsches up front, and I see Dilts, and I'm like, wait a minute, no. So, we'll have to have a discussion. You're definitely gonna have to jump back in the Ford. I'm sorry, it's out of my hands. It's required.
I will.
Uh,
You know that the Ford just would not have cut it with the rain tonight.
Well, we only had three. Looked like
And
some
where did
pretty
they
good
finish?
outings, but
I did
kind of,
great in my Mustang. Thank you very much.
yeah.
Oh, you were in the Mustang. Well done.
Yeah.
No,
I finished
I've done a
13th,
couple of rain
12th.
races and she has absolutely just let me down a couple times, like by myself. So I'm gonna try some other cars in the rain. I'll
Yeah,
go back, when it's not raining. I'll be back in the Ford.
and one thing with sims, no matter which sim you're on, we've seen, the Mustang is power. That's what it is. I can always understand if it doesn't perform around corners and things like that. But the car is built for power, and when it doesn't have straightaway speed, that drives me up the wall. So I've seen people jump out of the car for that reason. And it's, in real life with the car being built that way, it drives me nuts when the sim slows it down. I guess maybe the BOP is not affected
Nah, there's
correctly
too
or
much
something.
freedom under
So
the hood, man.
yeah, so it is, but in a rain race, I could see a traction being a problem.
Yeah, that rear end's real loose.
So anyway, with
Not
your
that bad if you're slow.
yeah.
Or careful. I'm just
So
an idiot and push it.
so with your car choice, how was your race? I mean, you did come home third, so at least you were moving up in the world.
I didn't think I was gonna come home third. I know that I jumped Nathan on the stop, and that was unfortunate for him because I think he had pace on me in that Porsche. And yeah, I mean, I just kind of drove my race. I thought I could catch up to Gene, but when I pushed, he pushed, and we kind of kept a pretty consistent gap. And then he had an incredible pit stop and had me by another 2 seconds. So I was just kind of trying to keep Nathan off my rear end there at the end. And then I ran out of fuel at the end, thinking Nathan was gonna fly by me, and he just didn't.
So you came in about halfway, right? So
Yeah, I think so.
So were you guys saving fuel under the guise of like you could come in and take like 3/4 a tank, or was it just you have to come in and fill that thing up to make it to the end?
No, I think because of the rain, the fuel calculators were all wrong. I know Morgan Smith ran out of fuel. I know Malik was running really low. It's just I think that the fuel, because I put the 0.6 extra, like a buffer of fuel in, and I ran out of fuel, and I was saving pretty heavily.
Yeah.
So something
I
was
mean,
going on with the fuel calculator with the rain going on.
I mean, this is one track in general. I play GT7. I see it on that sim a lot. The fuel calculator says you got like a lap at 1.2, right? by the time you come out of the last turn, you're out of gas. And you're like, you just told me I had enough. And it's
Yeah.
like this place just eats up fuel because of all the straightaways. There's not really a lot you can do to save, maybe backing off going into the few corners that it helps. But yeah, I swear, man, it doesn't matter the sim. That fuel calculator lies so much on this track.
It almost let me down. It almost
Right.
let Nathan have that third place.
Well,
I
you
had
still
an extra lap of fuel added at my pit stop, and I still ran out. It was all a mess.
That's what I'm saying. See, yeah, like, and I've run thousands of races, and typically you end with what it says that you should end with.
I would say this place, in my experience, this place and Daytona are two places where that thing just lies to you. It's like you do need
Spa's
an
pretty
extra,
bad too.
yeah, you need an extra lap of fuel over what it says if you want to make it to the end. Especially if you're doing that thing where you're like, the time's gonna run out, and then oh wait, I got to do one more lap.
Yep.
I was in sixth gear through all the chicanes, saving gas to get around the last lap. It was crazy.
Well, Austin, any shout outs or anything you want to send out?
Yeah, thanks to you guys. Thanks for John for putting it on. Big shout out to the WBM guys, and my wife for letting me do this. She came down halfway through the race, and I was like, "Babe, I can't right now. I'm busy." She stormed off, so I'm gonna have to go put a salve on that.
Yeah, go fix that one.
Yeah. But yeah,
Well,
thanks guys.
well, good luck and hope you make it through. Just remember, keep the Mustang at heart.
She'll be back. Don't worry.
All right, baby.
All right.
We'll see you next week.
Have a good night, guys.
See you, man. All right, Mr. Jan Rodriguez, otherwise known as Retro Coffin. Congratulations on the victory.
What's that?
Say which one? Yeah. Yeah. I know who. No. I keep my eye on my little board right here. If he doesn't pop up, then we just go. But I know who I'm talking to, Mr. Go by 3 different names, Mr. Blue, Mr. Retro, Mr. Jan Rodriguez with the victory. I want to say it was kind of an easy drive for you, but until something happened to Ricky, how were you feeling in the race?
I was feeling pretty good. The car felt really good. While I was behind him, I just kind of settled into like a little bit of a fuel save mode, and then I noticed he I don't know if he was braking off balance or what. The track was still a little bit slick, so once I saw him, spin, it was just kind of a little lonely, and I was trying to stay focused.
Yeah, and not really. I guess he just kind of had an off. The curb caught him out. One side lost traction. The other side got way too much, spun him into the wall. So what was your view on that as you came through, and sort of did you take a breath?
A little bit. I mean, it happened far enough ahead that I had full view of him spinning. So I could adjust before I was committed to the corner. So that was fine. And I think he might have been running a little bit of a higher downforce setup because I could see on my timeline I was pulling on him. And I was like, okay, well, let's just settle in, save some fuel, because like you guys said, the fuel calculator lies. I mean, that last stint, I looked down and all of a sudden it went from plus a minute to minus a minute and a half, and I was like, hold on a second.
I gotta say, this is maybe a sim race. We'll figure out something here. Maybe John's got some answers for us. But we had some weather that I've never seen before go from torrential downpour to now it's sunny, but the track is wet. From qualifying to the race, and then our timer said we still had like 14 minutes left, and I start seeing you swerving down the straightaway, flashing lights, and I'm like, what is he doing? Why is he doing that? And all of a sudden, it's like, well, the race is over. So I don't know if it was the sim acting weird today. I don't know if there were some setting issues, green mist in the air. Not a clue. So
it's the full moon. Blame the full moon.
Yeah, not to mention the full moon. It's all just car hosting together. But congratulations on the victory. I mean, you got it done. You pretty much rode away after Ricky had an incident. You kind of just drove away from there. I was gonna say, man, at the end you were losing so much time to second, but it looked like I guess you thought or you knew that the race was about to be over.
Yeah, I ran out of fuel trying to do burnouts, so I didn't have that much more.
So yeah, I mean something just weird with it, because yeah, I thought maybe I know you like the wet conditions,
Oh
so I
yeah.
thought maybe that it got dry. The guy behind McClellan behind you was like, well, I like the dry conditions, so he started run you down. That's kind of what we thought was happening. So I didn't really realize that the fuel was coming into that big of a play for a lot of drivers. As we talked about, were guys having to just fill up the tank and make it all the way to the end, or was there any kind of strategy other than just make sure you got enough?
I know I dropped like 15 liters into it, and I wish I had dropped like 18 because yeah, it was a little sketchy there. I'm glad I had that gap. I could keep an eye on my relatives and just be like, okay, I don't have to push the entire time. I can just give up 2 seconds a lap here and there and still have a 5 second, 4 second lead.
Yeah.
So it was about maintaining the numbers.
Oh, that's just damage control to the end. But yeah, I guess this track will always keep people on their toes, and one of these days they'll get a fuel calculator right. But until then, hold your breath. You got any shout outs or anything you want to send out?
Shout out to my fiance who yelled louder than I did when I told her that I won. Thank you guys for another week, another coverage. It's always great to rewatch these races, and yeah, the weather was a little hairy, but thanks to John and everybody who put this together.
Oh, we greatly appreciate it, and we'll see you next week to see if you can make it 2 in a row.
We'll see.
See you, man.
See you.
All right. Well, we're going to try to get a few answers here to see if somebody knows what went on with the sim. Mr. John Cannon, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Engineer Extraordinaire. John, can you help us out with what happened today?
No.
Awesome. So we have no idea what happened. The race is the race.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea either because if you looked at, I had everything all planned out, and if you looked at the weather map or the weather chart, at least according to what I had set up, it was supposed to rain during practice or before practice, and then it was the practice was supposed to be damp, not completely dry like it was. Qualifying was supposed to be wetter conditions, and the race was supposed to be totally dry, possibly starting on the wet, just because there may have been in between qualifying and the race, there would have been possibly like a little shower or whatever. But in any case, for whatever reason, every time I set everything up, it just totally goes way to the opposite. So who knows? Next week's not next week, but the week after, supposed to be Magny Cours. But I assume it was probably going to be a wet race just because, even though I have it all set as dry. So
next week, what you're saying, it could rain, it could be dry, it could be daytime, nighttime, sandy storm, snow conditions. We just no idea.
I know, right? I mean, it is very possible if the game has snow, it's going to snow, and there's going to be like 6 feet of it.
It could rain frogs.
So honestly, I have no idea what's going on. I don't. If you guys could see me right now, I have my hands up in the air because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we hey, we powered through. I would rather a race end the way this one ended versus you are on a different sim where if you're the lobby host and your power gets cut out, it shuts the lobby down 30 seconds from the finish after an hour and a half of racing. So
right.
Yeah, I'd rather this than that. that's better. I honestly, man, sometimes when sims do this, especially with the weather, it did make the racing a little more interesting. I know none of our top finishers did it, but we had 5 people start on wet tires. Not sure if they just didn't switch them or if they thought, yeah, I'm going to run these wets to start the race. But we saw pretty much the slick tires were the tire to be on for the entirety of the race.
That's where I started, was on slicks, and I was hoping when I saw Ricky Renner go around, I was actually going to pit, but he was blocking the pit lane, so I was like, so I had to go around another lap, and I think that's what ended up costing me some time, just because I was like, whatever. But in any case, like you guys are all saying too, that fuel calculator is totally bogus. It's wrong. I had saved, I don't know, like 3 or no, actually more than that, like almost 6 laps, just to make it to the end.
And I mean, I wonder if the race just ending like quicker than it should
Well,
played into
no,
that or something.
so I know everyone is complaining about in Discord and stuff like that, but to answer everyone's question was if I know it's tough to read, and I get it. But if you actually read the description, there's a mix and match of 45 minutes, an hour races, and 90 minutes. We do have a 90-minute race coming up at some point in the
I read
season.
it.
Some people did, some people did not. But in any case, for the the bottom rung of people that do the absolute bare minimum, there is going to be a 90-minute race, and there's going to be another 45-minute race at some point in the season. So check SimGrid to make sure which race is which.
Well, and if you have the races set up that way, I mean, shouldn't the timer say 45 minutes, right?
Yes.
Or does
You
yeah.
in theory, yeah. But then again, who knows? Maybe the rain completely screwed everything up. So I don't know.
we don't know because I do know it was set for an hour, or it was yeah, it had to have been set for an hour because it said we had 15 minutes left. So
Well,
not
I don't know. That's
really
weird because
sure.
this race was the 45-minute race. This was the
Yeah,
first one.
no idea.
And
No
what gets
idea.
me about this, I understand. Yeah, a lot of people don't like driving in the wet, but really, it didn't turn out to be a wet race.
Yeah.
When I saw that the quality was flooded condition, I was like, well, everyone that popped in the race, well, I guess I just lied to them because I said, oh, it's dry as a bone, and a couple of people popped in and it's just wet, and I was like, oh. In
Yeah,
any case,
I was caught off by that. I was like, all right, nice dry track. I was going, then when like pouring rain, and so I'm like, oh no. So I didn't even bother finishing a lap. I was like, I'll just start at the back and avoid all the chaos. And then it starts dry. I was like, ah.
Yeah. You and like 10 other people had that exact same thought. Only half the field qualified.
Yeah,
I did
Yeah.
one lap, but I was trying to get another lap in, but there was too many cars coming out of the pit, and I was like, this is not gonna work. So I'll just go ahead and abandon the lap.
I mean, a lot of the people that started from the back had a pretty good race. I mean, I guess you were the bumper that we saw laying in turn 2. That was pretty much the only carnage we saw in lap 1. Was just you guys going into 2 or turn 1 looked like, I guess maybe you kind of tapped somebody's rear end and you guys are all kind of bumping, but that was it. Nothing.
It's weird because I didn't feel any bumps or bangs or anything like that. I know there was a couple flashed on my screen that said contact between whatever car, and I was like,
Yeah,
there's no way I didn't even touch them.
Yeah, got you and another car on screen, both missing your front bumpers. That was pretty much the carnage of lap 1, as I had to tell Mr. Hitty that yes, it was not going to be carnage. These guys were going to make it through there. And now, granted, we were talking about qualifying because it was a monsoon, but
Oh, it wasn't. It was more than that. I'm pretty sure they were filming Twister.
you could see drivers struggling for grip all the way down the straightaway. There was not one point where they were comfortable. You'd see them fighting it going into the corners. I mean, working some wheel. There's probably some tired arms going into the race. But yeah, that was a crazy race altogether from start to finish, qualifying, practice qualifying, and the race. So congratulations, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks, I guess.
By the way, Fry charged us for an hour, so he needs to send some cents back.
Always. And Chris, you're doing better. All right, you finished 14th, I think, your first race, and now you're up to 12th. So kind of no pressure here, but I mean, top 10 next race. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I think my favorite part of the race was I had my teammates right in front of me, Patrick and it starts with an F. Frenning. What is his name? He was in the McLaren, I think. No, he was in the
not the Honda, Acura.
Oh, Jamie
And,
Fleming? Jamie Fleming?
Yes, Jamie Fleming. Yes, and so I was right behind. Those two guys were battling, and we're coming out of Ascari, and it was like they opened it up, and I just drove right between them, and my spotter lights were like, "You're in the meat. You're the meat. Oh, here it is." This was awesome, and I saw Jamie Fleming key up his mic, but I didn't hear him say anything. That was the highlight of my race. It was so much fun. These dudes were battling, and I just snuck it in there. It was really close. I was like, should I do it? Should I do it? But yeah, that rain caught me off guard. That was for sure. But you know what? I practiced in the rain. I knew it was gonna be wet, so I figured I'd give it a shot. But these guys are just like, do I do it? Do I do it? Do I do it? I don't know. I was hugging Patrick's car because I wasn't sure where the other guy was. It was a lot of fun. It was a good race.
Yeah, you did get a highlight reel on this one where you went out into the green.
Yeah, I know.
And-
that was
and
one
my
of
heart,
the two X's I got.
My heart jumped in my stomach, and then my stomach jumped to where my heart was, and they were turning around and stuff, and then all of a sudden you just came out of it and kept driving, and it was like,
You should have seen me. I got cringed up because I was like, oh, I'm dying. I'm gonna go off the track.
I know we should have had you up on camera on that one. Of course we didn't. We were trying to yell at you earlier in the race, but you weren't listening to me.
I was hearing you. It was busy, man. With that car and the wet and everybody else, I was like, I have no time for you.
You were going into turn 1 4 wide, and I'm like, wave.
No. I can't wait to go back and watch it. Oh my gosh, that looked like a good race.
Well, that was a good one, and we'll get ready for next week. What track? Oh, we're going to the track that I have never seen before. There you go. Yeah, the Magny Cores do not have any clue about this track whatsoever. So very happy to learn not only about that one, but Zolder, that will be in round 4. So a couple of, I don't know, John, like you said, is it raining? Is it sunny? Is there sandstorms? Is there snow? Raining frogs, something. There's going to be stuff happening. So that'll be, that's next Friday, isn't it? Or are we on a break?
2 weeks from now.
Okay, yeah. So in 2 weeks, 2 Fridays from now will be March Magny Cores. Why did my stream just close?
Who knows? Did we lose picks?
I think we lost picks.
And he muted too. I wonder if we lost him. Well, it's time to check the broadcast to see if it's still going.
Well, if the broadcast is
Oh, there he
still
is.
going,
There he is.
we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Well, I got to get going, guys. Hey, thanks for having me in afterwards. That was a lot of fun. And John, good job on the series, man. This has been a lot of fun to race in, and I'm looking forward to catching the rest of them.
I would love to, but I have to work.
Of course you do. Guys.
Later.
See you, everyone. Pix, are we still live?
You're still live. Go.
Okay, I'm just making sure everybody can hear that. Okay, so next round 3, Magny Cores, brought to you by Triple Stent Racing, Coach Dave Academy, and SimGrid. I am your host, Fry, joined by Pix, helping me out the best he can with the sim we're working with over here. Each time Benerza in a little bit warmer conditions as well. Hopefully his weather doesn't act like that. Everybody likes sunny conditions. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Get your practice in. I know we have a lot of drivers that did not show up, so make sure you are here in 2 weeks. You got notice, be here. We got a lot more racing to do and a lot more fun stuff coming. See you next time.
Are you looking for professional broadcasting on a budget? How about broadcast with colorful commentary, guest commentators, and after-race interviews? Do your league branding and social media graphics need a facelift? Custom results and series graphics looking like a 5th grader did them? Event organization taking up way too much of your time? Engage GTC TV and let us help you show the world your events.